in and say, okay, we'll continue with that specific name and, we make it better. And Tinubu equally can come in and say, okay, yes, we'll continue with that specific name and must we make it reflect our person or our administration? Or are we trying to convey to Nigerians that, look, I'm the one that did it?
Well, thank you very much, Prey. It's just exactly my thoughts. I think we're very good at sloganeering in this country. We just want people to be able to, people to identify a project, to a certain administration, to a certain person. I don't know if that has ever worked. Maybe in Lagos, you have during the Fashola Eko Nibaje, you have Ambode had his own, and now it's, a big guy. Ajumosheni. So you have all of that. I just feel like, it's just sloganeering. And I don't think it's something that takes any project far. That's just me. But renewed hope agenda, renewed hope first policies is something that is synonymous with, the Tinubu administration. So I guess that's why they're trying to make it as customized as customized as possible.
Customized as possible.
Well, I also think it's another way to score point for re-election, because these things normally happen during the first term. You want to do certain things that you would use to campaign for your second term in office. So there you have it.
Well, campaigning for second term or not, let's jump into the business of the day. And what we're looking at is the renewed hope first Nigerian policy. Now, the Bureau of Public Procurement in Nigeria procures a wide range of goods from abroad to support public projects, including civil works, construction materials, equipment, and supplies. These materials are essential for infrastructure development, building projects, and other government initiatives. The range of goods straddles construction materials, equipment, and machinery and supplies, steel, cement, wood, and other building materials for infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, and buildings, machinery, tools, and other equipment needed for construction and other projects. A wide range of materials and supplies, including medical supplies, educational materials, and other commodities. This is in alignment with the administration's economic strategy, especially as the government pushes forward with its industrialization agenda and import substitution goals. This policy of Mr. President is derived from the current move by the United States President Donald Trump, who has been singing America first. America first. America first.
Yes.
And he's really making his threats real.
Yeah.
Real. So if we are drawing from that, Nigeria first, and the organization, I would like to say the institution that is right in the middle of this is the Bureau of Public Procurement, because this is the institution where ministries, departments, and agencies, whenever they want to execute projects, and some of the materials cannot be sourced locally, through this institution, they have to source the material from outside the country. So putting Nigeria first would mean that we're putting, according to the president and the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, he said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content, and materials first. We'll consider Nigeria first before we start looking outside. And if there is any need for us to source this material outside, then we have to do a waiver. The thing is, were we sleeping? This is an initiative that we would have started like 100 years ago. Or probably it had already started and we stopped. What's your perspective?
I just have one question. So if the federal government is directing ministry, departments, and agencies to put locally made, products first, I just have one question for the federal government. Will they bail the cat? Because some 2 years or thereabout ago, they bought brand new cars for the for the lawmakers. Yes, they bought bulletproof cars for our lawmakers. And I remember then, people came forward. Why not Nord? Why not Innocent? These are Nigerian-made cars. You know, we're proud of them. Yes, there are complaints as regards, you know, the cost. It's expensive, but anything produced in Nigeria would be expensive because, you know, that's another conversation. But then when they were asked, they said, oh, they insisted on a Toyota. So will they bail the cat? Will the federal government, would they insist on using locally produced goods? All right, that's my own question. That's the first thing that came to my mind when this was announced by our Honorable Minister of Information was, will the federal government comply? Are we going to change the beast? Because Nigeria now has we have our own beast now. That's the presidential car. Are we going to change it? Are we going to contract Innocent to make a specific car for our president? Are we going to do that? And then are we going to patronize Dangote now? Are we going to support him? Are we going to help him now? Because it's locally produced. These are my questions. So that's why, back to what you said earlier on, we just love sloganeering in this country. Oh, we are coming out and we want to make things better. Yes, we understand. It's an amazing, it's a laudable initiative. It's an amazing one that, you know, we have to respect them for. But are they going to bail the cat?
Olumide.
Well, I like to look at the positive side. If truly Nigeria is coming first, Nigerian products are coming first, I think it will encourage local investors, first of all. The likes of Dangote, who have already complained that they are mafias, who are even tougher than the drug dealers in this country trying to sabotage this business. It would also create more jobs because, yes, you will have to create factories like building materials and all that. Let's not forget the Ajaokuta steel. We don't know what happened. Maybe we would revive this right now. It would also, you know, boost revenue generation, wealth creation. It would also reduce the dependency on our foreign exchange, the dollar. Hopefully. I like
what Olumide is
I'm positive.
I'm
being positive.
I'm positive as well, but I'm cautiously optimistic. All right, I am very cautiously optimistic because disappointments come with a lot of, you know, political things. But the truth is, if we are so optimistic, you do realize that in the past 3 to 4 years, we've lost about 15 to 16 multinationals in this country.
I was coming to that.
Due to, you know, policies and reforms from this same government.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're going to make locally produced, you know, the top priority now, are you encouraging the manufacturing sector? What are you doing to encourage the, you know, the business owners to be able to, for cost-effective operations and all of that? So if you say it's going to, this is long-term. Everything you just listed out now is long-term. But right now, our businesses...
So let me borrow
strong enough
your language
to give us first.
Let me borrow what you said. You said something. I'm trying to remember what you said. Bail the cat. Who will bail the cat? Okay. Now, so for this to really thrive, the government has to create an enabling environment.
All right.
Part of the reason why multinationals went was because of inflation, high taxes, and all that. Also, electricity.
Power.
Power is one of the major things that drive any economy. And once you are not able to fix power, I can't even remember how many national grid collapse we had from last year till now.
I know, about 18.
18. You're keeping track. I've lost count.
100 for the whole Buhari tenure.
But it will really, really help. It will encourage Nigerians to also patronize locally made goods because in a way, which is also what I'm coming to, there has to be quality control. Because Nigerians have this mentality of they think that things that are made outside the country are durable than those that are made in the country. We just, when you go to the market and they bring 2 shoes and they tell you this one is imported, this one is Nigerian, we know the one most people will want to buy. So we have to work on our quality control because people will believe that, okay, if the government is patronizing this particular, for instance, maybe Dangote cement, if the government is patronizing, that means it must be of great quality. So it will in turn encourage Nigerians to patronize that particular product.
I like the fact that the government of the day was, you know, throwing out this policy initiative and this policy directive. Nigerians never forget anything. They'll come back for you. Now, the reason why I'm saying that, first of all, there's the very, very important statement you made at the beginning where you referred to innocent vehicles. And Every new administration, every 4 years, we have election. The presidency, the members of House of Reps, or the Senate. Now, immediately they are appointed, immediately they are elected and they are sworn into office. They buy new cars for all of them. So, how many members do we have in the House of Representatives? Should be about
309.
309.
309,
Then
yes.
plus the Senate, 100 and...
That's 109 and 360.
Okay, 360 and 109.
Yeah.
Wow.
So brief, we're looking at almost 500 people. It's about 400 people thereabout, and we are going to be buying SUVs, sport
Bulletproof.
utility vehicles, bulletproof for this members who are going to occupying seat for the 4 years.
Yes.
And when they start occupying that seat, so each of those cars, we've heard cases where some of them run into 100 million naira, and
The
Let's
last
not
one was
forget-
160.
160 million
This is
for
very personal.
one. Okay,
Yes.
so now we are talking about 300 of these vehicles. Now I'm beginning to think around my head. Let's assume okay, 160 million naira times
Per vehicle.
times per vehicle for 350. Let's just even say 400 or 350 members that are going to be occupying the saddles in the National Assembly. You make the calculation.
That's trillion
So
or
100 million
zillions.
naira times 10 should give you a billion. Should
It's
give
running
you-
into trillions.
This is
Just-
trillion. We're talking trillions.
We're
here.
talking in
We're talking about
trillions.
We're talking trillions
Okay,
here.
great. We're talking about trillions. Imagine these vehicles are manufactured in China. And we ship these vehicles brand new into the country to give to our honorable members. Let's begin to talk about the capital flight. The money that we've expended that is going to leave our economy, and it's not going to bring any economic value to Nigeria. Now, before we buy this, we are going to have to change our naira
I was
probably
going to say,
into the dollar.
into the dollar.
Then we are going to then use that. Then imagine the pressure of that on the exchange rate of
Yes,
the naira.
of the naira.
Imagine those sweeping out of this economy. Okay, now let's say we have to look at Mr. Innocent and say, okay, now let's have you manufacture this for Nigeria. And he does that. Let's even assume that each of those cars are going to go for 150, 160 million naira. The benefit of that is we retain it within our economy. And we empower a Nigerian to be able to expand his business, whether it's from Newi or somewhere in the southeastern part of the country. Will be able to replicate one of those manufacturing hub somewhere in Kano. Let's even assume he's going to even replicate and reestablish that one of those centers in Lagos, or one in Delta State, or one in Kaduna State. And in that expansion alone, let's begin to look at the job opportunities that it begins to afford Nigerians within the country for them to be employed in these different geopolitical zones, and how the benefit of that will trickle into the economy of the country. Do we really consider these things? So you spoke well when you say bailing the cards.
Somebody has to
So
do that.
if the government is going to bail the cards, or to just probably make this just a lip service to let the people know that, look, we just want to replicate what President Donald Trump is doing in the United States, but can we handle it? That's a very big question.
That's a very, very big question. And you mentioned something as regards, the fact that Innocent or Nord, has to expand in order to be able to service all of these people. But the truth is, Olumide mentioned something as regards, the fact that people trust imported products more. And that's because the elite has made it seem like this is better. Okay, so by the time you see an ordinary me, for example, I see that my governor is using Innocent. I see that the rep for my constituency is using Innocent, and I'm okay. If these people can do this, then let me try it.
Yes.
I feel like it starts from
The top.
The top.
Yes, it starts from the top. It starts from what they can do, and I think we're overflogging the automobile, even clothes as well.
Yes.
What happened to our adire? Our textile industry used to be a major contributor to, the economy in the country. But it's unfortunate that people are now importing Ankara from China. Isn't that supposed to be our thing? People are importing adire that is supposed to be the southwest, the Ogun State in Abeokuta. You're supposed to go there, see how it's done. People are importing it now. Why? What's the difference? We brought it from abroad. So, there was once upon a time a governor said, okay, that was also in Ogun State, and said, okay, every certain day of the week, all civil servants are supposed to wear adire. Yes. Why are we wearing suits anyways?
Okay. Olumide will answer that question.
No, you.
Why are you both of you wearing suits? Why can't we? So it all starts from the top. Yes, our reps, they go with their flowing agbadas to the National Assembly. I see our president as well, all our president, every one of them, whenever they go for any international outing, they go in the full regalia, the full. But in-house, why is it mandated that civil servants are to wear suit and tie?
Okay,
I think it's not just cars now. It goes even to clothes. It goes to our shoes. It goes to, and then another thing, I think this is also something that needs to be looked at, with the fact that locally produced products are more expensive.
Why is that?
Locally produced products are more expensive.
Yes. Did you know that?
I haven't thought of it.
It doesn't.
That conversation should be product specific.
It doesn't tally. A lot more products that are made in Nigeria are much more expensive than what is brought in is the way bill that makes it expensive. The product itself is not that expensive, but because by the time you bring it in and convert,
import duty and all that,
that's what makes it expensive. But why is the same shoe that was made here in Lagos, why is it 42,000? Why? You made it here in Lagos. You bought your raw materials here in Lagos. You didn't go out to buy the leather. We have leather. You didn't go out to buy the evo stick or whatnot that you're going to use. You didn't. The human resources as well is here in Lagos. So why is it 42,000 naira? So I feel like even FCCPC rather, FCCPC also needs to come in, and what even the business owners, the local business owners, what exactly is happening on their own side as well? Why is it more expensive to buy things here? And you see people would rather, okay, when they buy it in bulk and bring it, it's cheaper. So there's a lot that needs to be done.
Okay, so now with regards to what you just said, if we say locally sourced, locally produced goods are more expensive or are equal as expensive
as
imported ones. First of all, look at the appetite of Nigerians, whose appetite has been fed in such a way that we have this craving for foreign-made goods. To that effect, there is this mindset in Nigerians that if a good is produced locally, it is low in standard. And one of the things that they identify a low in standard made product is the cost. So they feel it's cheap.
So they have to inflate, they have to increase.
I don't even really think that's even the reason why the cost was inflated. I have spoken to some businessmen or some local manufacturers, and they said, okay, some of these shoes you wear, you see it boldly written there, made in France, made in Italy. Some of them are made from Aba here in Nigeria. And if it is written made in Aba, would you buy it?
If it's of good quality, yes.
Even if it is of good quality, for the fact that it is point blank written on that product, this is made in Nigeria, and this is made in Aba, somewhere in the southeastern part of the country, or it is made in Kano State, or it is made somewhere, anywhere, any part of this country. Would you buy it? Would you put down your money?
That boils down to the mentality.
It's an orientation thing.
It's an orientation.
Exactly.
So and these are business people who want to sell their products, and they felt that, look, there are these foreigners who come into the country who, either by the instrument of dumping, or they take advantage of the African free trade area, or through any bilateral relationship Nigeria has with other countries, like with China, and they bring in their products to the country, and you see their product proliferated in the market, and people are turning attention to that market, and they felt that, look, the cost of this is about 50,000 naira, it's 25,000 naira, and you bring in a product and you said it is 10,000 naira, it's 15,000 naira, and they're like, oh no, I think that's a substandard product, and they turn their eyes away. And sometimes even the cost of production locally is quite expensive, because if you remember the preamble I read, is that one of the things that the Bureau of Public Procurement is that one of the goods that they source is equipment. And equipment boils down to technology, which is not locally real available, because we have to import them, same from places like China, from the United States of America. So if we are going to do that, it's going to tell the price for which we purchase those products is going to reflect in the overhead cost, and it's going to reflect in the unit cost of those products.
There's a particular rice, allegedly, that rice sellers, what they do is they take the locally made rice and put it inside the bag of the imported one and sell it as imported.
Oh, I've heard that.
You've heard that?
I've heard that.
That's what they do.
No, I've heard that. But, I think even inwards, whilst they are doing all of this, I think the national orientation should also step in and do something. But I think even inwards as well, we should stop cheating each other. Locally, local entrepreneurs, local businesses. For a long while now, let's look at Telco. Glo is yours truly, is Nigerian. And when it came out, oh, this is our man, this is our person, you know, and everybody, but the network can be funny.
I think, well, you're right about that. And also,
and then people tend to tilt towards the South African guy. Do you understand? So I think even locally, the local business owners should also pay attention to their delivery, their customer service, the quality of their product. They should pay attention to quality control. So it's not, because it will go a long way. So even if the government actually does pull through with this initiative, okay, even if they do, down the line, people won't start complaining. You told us to purchase Nigeria first, but the Nigeria products we're purchasing is giving us problems.
Standard.
There's standard issue. So even as the government is pushing out Nigeria first, amazing stuff, yes, but they should also work with the local entrepreneurs, because according to what Mohammed Idris, mentioned yesterday, is that business owners are supposed to submit. There's going to be a collation of names and businesses.
Accredited suppliers.
Exactly. To know, okay, these are the people that will be contracting for different things, per year and all of that. So whilst they are doing that, I think the government also should do some sort of quality assessment. There should be some sort of quality assessment. Okay, let's check this thing. How long is this for? What is this for? It's not just because it's cheaper. Let's look at it and see if it is, up to standard. Is this something I can use for the next 5 years, or every 6 months I have to be buying a new one? So Trump came out with America first, and it's fine. And then China is like, okay, you can go ahead, because they are strong.
Yes.
Whether or not, I doubt they even import in China, because they have everything. They make everything. They even put another name on it and send it to other countries. And that's why it's one of the biggest economies in the world. So I think, as a country, it's something that we definitely need to pay attention to. The government, are they going to bail the car? Are they going to be the first to do it? That's the first question. Yes, purchase Nigeria first, but is the government going to do that as well?
Okay.
That's the first question. The second question is, are we going to get value for our money? What are they going to do with the business owners to ensure that Nigerians get value for their money? Not just because the government says people must, buy from us, so let's start churning out products.
Substandard products. So there is one area I want us to look at, even within this topic of conversation, and it has to do with our leaders, because if they are dropping this sort of policy initiative, it is also very, very important. They must bail the cat, and we will not stop saying that they should bail the cat. In this sense, I'm referring to, it has become a norm among Nigerian presidents, among the governors from the 36 states, and members of the House of Representatives and the Senate and the House of Assembly from the states, that even when you have cold, you tend to jet out of this country to get it treated. And you're talking about local content first. In Nigerian hospitals, and in Nigerian schools, there are machines, there are technologies that if we need to purchase to facilitate service delivery, we get these machines from outside the country, from healthcare. So now, if we are going to do that, and at the slightest health challenge, you jump out of this country into the jet, and you jet out to get yourself treated, and we remember
all their kids are abroad.
So now, why are you going to put it across to Nigerians that patronize made in Nigerian goods, made in Nigerian services? Because these are the things we are going to look at first. Except for emergencies or for something that does not fall in line with the Bureau of Public Procurement Act, we are going to be sourcing it from abroad. Can we have you people use Nigerian hospitals?
I was going to say that. I remember just as former President Buhari was leaving, Aisha Buhari said that she's so glad that the hospitals in Aso Rock has been upgraded. It is now fully functional. That people will have access to hospitals in Aso Rock. What has happened? She made that statement. What has happened?
And then the current president who came in after that particular administration has gone on medical tourism about 6 times.
I've lost count.
You've lost count?
About 6 times.
Maybe even more than 6. Because we are going to 3 years now.
Yeah, so how are you going to tell Nigerians? Is it going to be, do as I say, but don't do as I do? Because Nigerians are beginning to look at you, okay, that means, do you have confidence in the policies you're making? Because a good way to show that example, remember vividly during former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, because Nigerians and Africans were skeptical about COVID-19, he sat in front of the TV set and got himself vaccinated.
Yeah.
So that Nigerians can see, like, oh, the president went through, submitted himself for vaccination. So there is nothing wrong with that, because Nigerians are skeptical, like, okay, so let's go get ourselves vaccinated. And a lot of Nigerians submitted themselves for, can we emulate that even in the academic industry, whereby we do not, in fact, as long as you are a member of the governing elite, you are in government, either you are in the civil service, you are a political appointee, as far as this country is concerned, if you are sick, you must use not even private hospitals in Nigeria, government-owned hospitals in Nigeria. Your children must not go to private schools in the country. They must go to public, government-owned public schools in the country. And I remember vividly, Malam Nasir El-Rufai.
I knew you were
I was going to go there.
I knew you were going to go there. Because it's like a poster child for, when they say, oh, and then he came out and he said, oh, my child is going, my child is going to a school here, a public primary school. And it was lauded, everybody applauded and said, oh, that's amazing and all of that. But since then, how many of
Is
them?
the young man still in that school, or has he graduated? So these are questions that we should ask.
I strongly doubt that.
Okay, so these are questions that we should ask.
Imagine if President Bola Tinubu checks into the National Hospital in Abuja, or checks into UCH or
in Lagos
or LASUS. It would help that particular hospital. Why? Because it's the president. Everything will be up to date.
First off, Olumide, I strongly doubt that any president would go to loot.
No, let's assume.
Let's assume.
Let's be as realistic as possible, because then that means you and I, we go to the hospital. We can't go in because the president is inside.
No, there are private wings.
there is an hospital in Aso Rock.
Yes.
And that's for him.
It's for him.
It's for him.
Because we love him, we respect him, he's the president. Use it. You can fly in specialists.
True.
You can fly in specialists.
Why don't we have them in Nigeria?
You can fly in specialists.
Some of the specialists that treat some of the people abroad are Nigerian doctors.
Because you know, sometimes when you
Trust.
hear, no, not trust, when you go to some of those hospitals, there are some particular surgeries, oh, we're not equipped for that here, you may need to travel out.
Okay.
We've seen cases like that where people now come online and, you know, source for funds that for medical reasons, because their doctor here in this country has said, we don't have, you know, the equipment for this. We would suggest that you go to this particular in another country. So things like that can come up. You can bring in a specialist.
Okay.
But the point is, equip the one you have in Aso Rock and use. We have amazing brains. The first doctor to carry out an open heart surgery. But isn't it Nigerian? The one that did the pig hearts, the pig hearts transplant. It was a Nigerian doctor in America, yes, but it was a Nigerian. He's a Nigerian. He's still a Nigerian.
Yes.
He's a Nigerian with a Nigerian name.
Yes.
So I just believe that all of this, Nigeria first, it starts from them first.
From the top.
So it starts from them first.
Okay.
Lead by example.
It's a good policy framework and it's a good and great initiative. However, he who makes that law must show good leadership by towing that line that will show to the world and indeed to Nigerians that look, Mr. President is giving, you know, a policy directive, and we as citizens of the country, we are going to support the laudable initiatives of Mr. President to make him succeed. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. Now we move to the second point of conversation, and that to do with electricity. The 11 electricity distribution companies in Nigeria and other market operators in the sector collectively incurred a loss of 965 billion naira due to technical and commercial inefficiencies in the 12 months of 2024. An analysis of the latest data from various industry reports showed that revenue inefficiencies cost Nigerian power firms 965 billion naira, highlights a critical problem in the country's electricity sector, where huge amounts of potential income are lost due to various systemic failures. 965 billion naira in revenue loss is a staggering figure rather. It represents money that should have been earned by power firms, distribution companies, DISCOs, generating companies, GENCOs, and others in the electricity value chain, but wasn't due to inefficiencies such as energy theft and illegal connections, metering gaps, poor billing systems, collection inefficiencies, transmission and distribution losses, technical and non-technical losses for the economy. Unreliable power supply continues to hurt businesses, especially SMEs. Investors see the power sector as high risk, deterring private capital inflows. So we begin to see all the inefficiencies that has been reeled out. But when I look at that staggering figure, 965 billion naira inefficiencies lost due to power, some of the problems were mentioned. And one of them was inefficient power distribution, power provision, and there's a challenge when we come to not just generation, but transmission. And that has been in the front burner in the power industry for quite a long period of time. But if you tell Nigerians that the power holding company or the GENCOs,
The distributing company.
yes, that they lose money to the tune of 965 billion naira, do you think they agree with that figure? Or is it that we are overflogging issues?
I think people first off need to understand that there's a chain, and everybody looks to the DISCOs, forgetting that we have the GENCOs and then we have the TCN, that's the transmitting company. And if we have that understanding, then we know that it's not just a disco thing. The discos, their own is, okay, we have the power, we're distributing it. But if it is not generated, if it's not transmitted,
the discos have nothing.
The discos have nothing to offer. They have nothing to distribute. And then aside from that, I know it's easy for us to, you know, they are making money. Yes, they are making money, especially with this banding and all of that. They are they are definitely making money. But we also know that a lot of ministries, departments, and agencies are owing our discos.
497 billion naira.
Thank you.
That's how much they owe the discos.
Yes. They are owing. And this is just unfortunate that it is the ministry. The other day, there was a video that went viral with, you know, they went to...
the Keja invasion.
The Air Force.
They went to meet the khaki boys trying to... What's going on? But what are they to owing?
Exactly. Let's not forget that Aso Rock was threatened that they will be disconnected. I think that was last year before.
I have a problem with that because we see budgets every year and we see money allocated for power, and then how are they owing? I don't understand that part.
But it was quickly cleared. I mean, that's embarrassing. 3 million. Is it 3 million?
3 trillion.
3 trillion.
3 trillion naira.
Good. That was very embarrassing to even put. But you could imagine what it took for these discos to actually publish that. There must have been some back and forth, no response or non-response and all that. And they decided that, okay, fine.
Because they are not private.
Let's put it out there. Let people see that this is what is happening.
They're taking care of themselves. They are private. They're taking care of themselves, you know. But people still forget that, yes, power is privatized, fine, and all of that, but transmission still belongs to the government.
The government.
It's still from the government. So if we, and then, you know, some years ago, the Minister of Power came, we have, you know, vandalism, people are, you know, touching the grid here and there and all of that. What's being done? It's been years and years. What are you doing about it? What's going on? Why do we have the grid collapsing over and over and over again? And then, you know, there was the conversation around, okay, we have decentralized. Governors do something about your power.
In your state.
What are the governors doing? Lagos, you know, started it during former Governor Bola Tinubu. He initiated it, you know, and then in his administration, he said, you guys can do it, you should do it. But are they?
Okay, so I think it is not rocket science, except probably the state government or the state governors has not made it their priority to make sure that they take care of power. Because if you look, if you look at most states, if you look at the academic institutions, the tertiary institutions, they are major ones. For Lagos, we quickly point our hands to University of Lagos. And when it comes to power, within their
the College of Medicine students, they protested some weeks ago.
Very embarrassing.
They protested some weeks ago. There's no power. They don't have water. Because you need power to get water. They don't have water. They can't have their bath. They can't use the toilet because there's no lights.
And I think this was due to the report that we got that Aso Rock was procuring solar panels. So the I think NAD, resident doctors, they came out in protest that they also need solar panels.
Nobody do.
Okay.
Nobody do.
They do. Yes, they do.
UCH spends millions on power, and then they are owing. By the way, UCH is also owing the disco as well. And aside from that, you go to the hospital, and then the hospital will tell you, see, we will do the operation, but you have to pay a certain amount extra because diesel. We need to purchase fuel.
There was a sad story about one operation, and who I think he lost his wife or something. It was because power went
off
during the operation.
During the operation, and there was no backup generator.
So away from the inefficiencies, or away from, yes, we know that there are serious systemic issues that needs to be looked at. and all of that. But away from all of that, the government still needs to do more. And then the Minister of Power, in his usual, very insensitive way, came up last week and said, oh, we can't afford to continue paying subsidy. We have to clear it. Yes, we'd have to clear it. The people need. So, wait, Lord have mercy. Are you telling me that what we're paying now
is subsidized?
It's still subsidized.
It's still subsidized.
That is
for
scary.
Band A.
That is very, very scary. And just the other day, or a few minutes ago, we're talking about locally produced goods. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has been crying about fuel, about power, especially with the recently fuel subsidy gone, the very infamous statement. And then now you're talking about power. How do you want them to survive? Businesses are crumbling, people are losing their jobs and all of that. So and then we're expecting new tariffs in the power sector. So aside from, I feel like people need to understand the chain itself, the fact that we can't keep dumping everything on the discos. The discos are business people. It's not government. The government doesn't operate the discos. It's privatized. But then the discos have to get the power from somewhere, and that's where we need to have
what about issues where the discos have been fingered for charging and overcharging those who use power? Where some of the challenges that we mentioned.
Are you supposed to buy transformer?
Yeah, in your streets.
You're not supposed to buy transformer.
You buy it for
I don't
the
think people
discos.
know that.
And you buy it for the discos.
You're not supposed to use your money to buy transformer.
But there are instances where a whole community would have contributed because they needed power to pay money to get transformers, and you see this nonchalant attitude. They come and they're telling you, okay, maybe a week you won't have power until it is fixed. And when it is fixed, for those who do not have meters, you know they are being charged outrageously.
Funny.
Estimated billing. Imagine yourself relocating to a new apartment and they are telling you the person who used to use this apartment was owing the power holding company because they do not have meters, and they are owing run into hundreds of thousands of naira.
Which you have to clear.
And the landlord is trying to talk you to have an understanding and why you should pay a certain amount of that money that you didn't use. Now, if you are insisting that these discos are private enterprise, they are not public enterprise, and you're like, okay, excuse me, I can only pay for what I have used. I cannot do this. You have problem with your tenants, with your co-tenants. You have problem with the landlord.
That is not on the disco. That is why did the landlord allow the person to go without paying their NEPA bill, I mean their power bill? No, is it the disco? This person was living in this house. Did they or did they not use the power? Yes, we know that there are still big issues as regards the estimated billing.
Most of those bills come from the estimated billing.
It of course definitely has to come from estimated billing because it's not prepaid. Do you understand? So if there are issues with the estimated billing, but the person who was moving out, why did the person not clear it before the person left? Yes, why didn't the person clear it? Why didn't you ensure that the person cleared it? That's not on the discos. But the discos, however, there are serious issues. Remember some months ago, sometime last year, they said, oh, the prepaid meter you are using now will no longer be effective from November 1st. You need to go and get
into extinction.
Because they are changing the coding or they are changing whatnot. Go and get another one. And then you want to go and get another one, and then it is
the hurdle.
And then before then, I will not have light.
Okay, so while I was having this conversation with some people, they felt that, look, you cannot say this current meters that we're using are gone into extinction. I will need to purchase another one. Because what we are basically just talking about here is codes that you need to impute. So why are you saying, is it because you want to sell? Because even the people who have on ground now, the government have said that you should make sure everyone is metered. And you've not been able to meter everyone. And the people who are currently using the current meters that we have, you are saying it has gone into extinction, so we need to do away with them. Then do you have the capacity to make sure you supply each and every one? Let's just even say Lagos and not in the whole of Nigeria. Do you have the wherewithal and the capacity to supply everyone? And are they going to get it timely?
I'll give you a personal experience. 2 years ago, I moved into an apartment. Just like she said, the landlord said, don't worry, you get a meter. That was around November. We did not get meter till the next year, which was last year. There was a particular month they brought an estimated bill of 400,000.
Are you running Piotr bakery?
It must have been baking bread.
Do you have a
That was
bakery in your
when
apartment?
we decided to go to the disco's office and tell them that, look, and they told us point blank that once the bill is printed, even if you appeal, it will only reflect on your next bill. You cannot appeal for a current. Now, once it is printed, that's in their own word. That once it is printed, yes, thank you, that's the word. And when they brought the meter around September, normally, and it was installed, we're supposed to stop paying. They said, no, we will pay till October. With the meters running, the prepaid meters running.
With the prepaid meters running, you were paying?
Yes, they brought another bill. So it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
So the question is, see, the discos are crying foul. Oh, there are inefficiencies. We are losing billions.
There
of naira.
are inefficiencies.
Yes,
we're not
accepted.
downplaying the fact that, but they themselves have issues.
Some of the inefficiencies are traced down to the discos because metering was part of the inefficiencies or part of the problems that was mentioned there. It can be traced down to them. So, and they carry this out on Nigerians. And because you know you need to have power, sometimes you subject yourself to, because I begin to anticipate seasons or in situations where we begin to see where somebody can take them to court. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot pay for power I did not use. And the court will stand by that and move on with that conversation.
That has happened. I think about 2 years or so ago, an entire street somewhere in Mushi, I remember very, very well because they had a meeting on all of that. They came together and they said, we're not going to pay this. And for 2 weeks they didn't have...
Entire community.
The whole street. For 2 weeks they didn't have lights. They all came together and said, we're not going to pay this money. And it boiled down to, okay, the leaders of the street association, and then the disco had to sit down. Okay, how much is it? How much can you pay? That was what happened. It was a negotiation. It came down to a negotiation. All right. So I think people need to speak up.
Let's not forget that each time it rains, there's this fear that, oh,
light will go.
Light will go.
But light goes.
Especially in my area. Every week or 2 weeks, you see them coming to. So there must, if you keep coming to repair something in a transformer, then there's something wrong. And just like she said, sometimes you might have to buy the transformer and all that. I mean, I've seen there's a particular video that a transformer was on fire, and the caption was, how long do you think this particular
community is going to have power? Because they're going to wait
for... be without lights. That's true. And it's very scary. But then at the end of it all, all of them in the chain, they have one thing or the other to do with the generators and the transmitting company as well. It's not just the discos. The discos, because they are the ones that we directly interface with. That's why we feel that, oh, you are responsible for all our problems. Everything. Do you understand? But then at the end of the day, we have the generation, and then we have the TCM, which is like, the oga of them all, that is still in the hands of the government.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, self-deportation refers to the process by which an immigrant voluntarily leaves a country, often due to strict immigration laws, enforcement, pressure, or fear of arrest, rather than being forcibly removed by immigration authorities. U.S. President Donald Trump, before taking over the reins of power for the second time, made it abundantly clear that his line of policy directive regarding immigration laws and illegal immigrants in the United States. As at now, administration has successfully deported over 100,000 illegal migrants. But apart from the justice system, another cog in the wheel limiting the administration from effectively carrying out this exercise is the cost of apprehending, taking into custody, and deporting an illegal migrant, which amounts to $17,000. The administration, in its bid to cut costs, has proposed on offering $1,000 to illegal migrants to self-deport, whilst threatening other illegal migrants who refuse to toe this line of action to be thrown into prison designated for confirming notorious criminals. $1,000 to leave the United States by yourself without being
1.6 million
apprehended, like the way you call it.
Come forward.
Yes, please come forward, jejely. But if you refuse, the administration will come for you, they get you, and it's going to be a different story. They could put that person in Guantanamo Bay or El Salvador prison, which is known for notorious hard criminals. So I don't know. Nigerians or Mexicans who are there, I'm just wondering the dilemma right before them.
How is this?
Is it not?
Is it a dilemma though? You are undocumented. You're undocumented. You are an illegal person.
Some of them
or
are
like
children
the Homeland Security says they're illegal aliens.
Illegal aliens.
That's what Homeland Security call them. That's what they call them, illegal aliens. So you are undocumented, and you have been given a leeway. And don't forget, there's a clause. He says that yes, we're going to. You can leave. We'll give you $1,000, and also if you want to re-enter the country properly, you'll be given, a special attention or what's that? What was
How,
that?
You know that's not going to work. You know that's
The
not
point
going to
is,
work.
collect your 1.6 million and come back home.
what would you do with that money?
1.6
Start a
million.
business.
By just entering the country,
Oh, she didn't increase the money.
Yes.
Maybe she increased the money.
$5,000 with this. And I can tell you a lot of people will come forward.
You see, okay.
Even documented people come forward.
See, Nigerians, the thing is, when I saw that, and I saw that Trump, okay, $17,000, the administration has dealt over 149,000 deportees. During Joe Biden's administration, it deported 152,000. I think within they've made the calculation that between 100 days in office, Trump is doing 149,000.
Trump did 152,000.
152,000.
Yeah, Biden did 195.
195,000 within the specific period of time. Now, the difference is that in Trump's administration, 152,000 times $17,000 for each.
That's another country's
That's a
budget.
lot of money.
Yes, that's how much is that? Now they felt like, okay, now this is the course of action. We are doing good, but you know what? It's eating deep into the treasury of the country. $17,000 for one person.
It will crash.
Per person.
It can
So
crash.
you know what? Let's negotiate with these illegal immigrants. That okay, let's take you out. Just come and leave, and we give you a tip of $1,000. I think there should be a good negotiation, and I tell you, a lot of these people will have to relocate if the Trump hammer is going to get to this. They will have to relocate to New Mexico.
You are making it sound like
Because-
they are inconveniencing the undocumented people.
Because some of them have a legal ground to stay behind. They have children who are legally documented to stay back in the United States of America. And you cannot take a 3-year-old and leave a 3-year-old by himself or by herself and take the parents and send them back to their country. So they have to watch over their children.
That's an exception.
What about those
Oh,
seeking
that's the
asylum?
exception
That
we should
is
be looking at.
that is the only exception.
Those
But
seeking
the truth
asylum?
is, they are on. If you're in asylum, you have your papers.
Okay.
You speak with they have deportation lawyers there. You speak with the lawyer will advise you.
Okay.
All right. They have all these like migration lawyers and all of that specific for situations like that.
this.
But I feel like we are making it seem like they are suffering these people. You are undocumented in another person's country. Go if they say you should go.
But
However, if it's a situation of I have my kids here, my kids are Americans.
Yes.
Or Melania Trump.
She's documented.
I'm just saying. You're in a situation of Melania Trump. My husband is an American. I'm not. Then situations like that, then you can come forward and have a conversation with the people or the necessary people, or you go to the Homeland Security, or you get a lawyer give me advice. What do you think? Should I step forward? Should I take the offer and, you know, reapply and come in clean since my wife or my husband can file for me? Because he's an American. He can legally fight for me or file for me requesting that I come over because of this and this and this. And I have been here. I pay my taxes. I have a clean record. I don't have any convictions. Everything is good. If situations like that, you can have a conversation with them, of which 17,000 to 1,000 is a huge drop. It's a huge drop.
Why? It's below 10%.
No, but still on still, Mr. Krumale.
Why?
The truth is, you are an illegal person.
I am not. I'm in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria currently as we
They are illegal. I feel like people should have seen this coming the moment Trump was announced as president.
Yes. Okay, in fact, while he was campaigning,
start packing your bags or start, you know, what the process as regards ensuring that you are with your loved ones. Start putting things in place. There are a lot of celebrities that, you know, they had to relocate. They said for the next 4 years that Trump is going to be president, they're not going to stay in America.
But there's one thing we should look at. The thing is, and that is why even lawyers from civil society organizations are beginning to make loud calls that, look, they are available to be approached, even by those who who are, you know, not potential, they are, if you look at it, they are the undocumented immigrants. Lawyers in the United States are saying, approach us. They are civil society organizations saying, approach us, we are going to take up your case. And the thing is, can you please give a right definition of someone who is undocumented, who is illegal in your country? Wait a moment. I know you will think I'm fighting the case for some Nigerians over there. But the thing is this. These undocumented or so-called undocumented persons who made their ways into the United States of America, they've earned a living. They are working in that economy and they've started paying taxes to the American government.
I need you to also understand that if you are undocumented, that means you're being paid under the table.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So yes,
but
it means
if
that
you are being paid under the table, but you are not paying your tax under the table, you are paying your tax to the government.
So technically, it's not you paying the tax; it's the person who's paying you that's paying the tax.
But that person
it's not you directly. You're not paying tax because you're being paid under the table. They're giving you money. You know,
that is below the standard of the minimum wage.
Also,
like you.
Exactly. I also need you to understand that the fact that they know that you're undocumented, so they pay you way below the minimum wage because they know you can't talk, you can't complain. You have to accept what they give.
But that is an industry in itself that is feeding the United States economy. And
Thank you. That is why I believe they should have a conversation.
But that conversation, how can Trump would be mentioning $1,000 to $17,000?
You're making it seem like
it's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation.
Except these people come forward, the United States government may not even have the evidence against these people to take them out.
It's America. They know how they'll get them out. But the point is, you're making it seem like they're doing them a favor. You are in our country. You don't have the right paperwork. We're trying to reduce. You know that unlike some governments, that I'm not going to mention the countries, unlike some governments, America is responsible for its citizens. Okay. America is responsible for a lot of things, from health to education to transport. They're responsible for a lot of things. They pay off for a lot of things. Subsidy is a regular, it's a constant, it's sacrosanct in America. In America. And they have a lot of people that, you know, take advantage of these things, but it's not in the records. There's a reason for these things. And we're making it seem like they are being wicked to them. They're doing terrible things to them. You're not documented. It's either you get the documents or you find a way to you know, renegotiate your stay. I know someone who is currently in the UK at the moment, and his student visa will soon expire. And the moment he got into the UK, he didn't wait until his student visa expired. From the moment he got into the UK, he started working on getting a job that would give him sponsorship. Because he knows that by the end of my school year, I need to go back home.
And he doesn't want to come.
And he doesn't want to go back home. Correct. So from the moment he got into the UK, before the 2 years of his study finished, which his student visa would expire, he started looking for a job not just a job, but a job that would give him sponsorship, so that at the end of that 2 years, he has a right to stay back. So if, we all know Trump, but if Trump is saying, we have a lot of undocumented people, we as a country, we want to be accountable to our people. So if you are not in the system,
get out.
Please go.
Okay, so Olumide, your last words as we sign out.
Well, she has a point, but business leaders have also warned. They've also warned that this could also worsen labor shortages in industries like manufacturing, hospitality, construction, because these undocumented
they form a large chunk of the workforce.
If for instance you find yourself in America, except you're a citizen, this is where you will fall in. If you want to get a quick job, menial jobs. It's the easiest. Odd jobs, washing plates in restaurants, construction, manufacturing,
care work, and all of that.
Because most of their citizens don't even want to do it. They can sit back and collect whatever the government gives them at the end of the month.
Social security, and then move on.
So this is where the undocumented, most of them, you find them in homes as maids and all that. So they really contribute to the economy, just like you said. Yes, they pay tax in a way through their employers. Yes, they are underpaid, but they are not complaining. In a way.
It's better than where they are coming from.
It's better than where they are coming from.
Well, we're out of time, and that's where we would draw the curtain on this conversation today and Souq Business Landscape. Many thanks for joining us today. I am Oyinpreye Krumale. Until we come your way again, do have yourself a splendid day ahead.